Have you ever wondered how a Leica lens compares to a Pany-Leica lens, i.e. a Lumix lens with a Leica badge logo on the front? Let's find out. Hi guys, Matt here from MrLeica.com. So on my trip to Spain, I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to test a Pany-Leica lens next to my Leica CL with the Leica lens on it. David, who kindly runs Escapar CC cycling retreats in the Alicante region, lent me his Olympus Pen E-5 with the Pana-Leica or Leica Summilux 15mm f1.7 a spherical lens. As the Olympus Pen camera is a micro four thirds camera, it has a 2x crop, so 15mm equals 30mm. I was then comparing it to my Leica CL camera with the Leica Elmarit-TL 18mm f2.8 lens, again with a 2x crop. It's roughly around 28mm, so it was more or less the same, to give a like for like, hopefully, experience. So the plan was to shoot both cameras side by side with the two lenses attached and see how they compared, to see whether or not it's worth paying the premium prices for both Leica cameras and true Leica lenses compared to Lumix or Pany-Leica lenses. I expected the premium Leica CL and TL lens to kind of smash the Pany setup because it's about 3 times more expensive, and I can cover the prices at the end, but let's see how the results compare. Okay, so these are all photos shot on my trip to Spain when we were planning the future photography workshops. I was shooting raw with both cameras, and then I just applied a simple preset to add a bit of contrast, a bit of colour and a bit of sharpness, the same to both sets of images. So what you're seeing is photos from the CL and from the Olympus Pen E-5 with the 18mm and the 15mm in no particular order. If you've got a keen eye, you'll notice that some are 4x3 crop and some are 3x2 crop. If you know anything about micro four thirds shoots everything in a 4x3 and the APS-C is 3x2. Okay, if we try to slow things down a little, to look at the images side by side or very similar images, I tried to match the exposure, but every other setting in the preset is identical. So I've not changed the colours or anything like that. And as you can see, I think to the most part, other than exposure, the colours are very, very similar from both sets of images, like scarily similar. Let me know in the comments below if you can see a difference and which ones you prefer, ignoring the crop factor. And this next image is interesting. I had to shoot at a really slow shutter speed, I think a fifth of a second, and the IBIS of the Olympus gave me a sharp image on the right, and on the left the CL was a bit blurred. And for this next photo, I decided to zoom in to see how the detail compared side by side. I noticed the halo effect around the wire on the right hand side of the image, which is a clear sign of over sharpening. And then when I look to the next image on the left, you can see again the pixelation showing that it's over sharpened. I'd applied the same sharpening to both images, but the Leica CL is 24 megapixel, whereas the Olympus is only 16 megapixel. So I decided to reduce the sharpening by around 40% to the Olympus image, and now you can see the results. I'm really impressed with the 50mm Leica Pany lens, but let me know your verdict below. To my eyes, both camera lens combos compared very, very similar, considering the price difference. Talking of price difference, how much do these camera lens setups cost? I checked eBay, and in April 2022, the prices were roughly around $350 or £250 for the Leica Summilux 15mm 1.7 a spherical for micro four thirds cameras, and the Leica Elmarit-TL 18mm 2.8 a spherical Leica L mount was around £800 to £900 or $1,200. That's 3 times more expensive, and that's just the lenses. What about the cameras? Obviously, if you know anything about micro four thirds, there's like a million different camera bodies to choose from. So if we just look at the Olympus one as an example, you can pick up the Olympus Pen for maybe £200 or $400, and the Leica CL around $1,250 or $1,700. If you're only interested in the smallest, lightest possible setup, and you think that both of these cameras are giving you similar results, in terms of weight, the Summilux 15 1.7 lens weighs 115 grams or 4 ounces, whereas the Leica Elmarit-TL 18mm 2.8 weighs 80 grams, which is 2.8 ounces. Obviously, you then got to take into account the cameras. As mentioned in the last video, the Leica CL weighs 403 grams, which is 14.2 ounces, whereas the Pen E in this example weighs 420 grams. So the micro four thirds camera was actually heavier than the Leica CL APS-C setup, which is kind of surprising. Although that said, you can get much smaller, lighter micro four thirds cameras weighing as little as 250 grams, so really super duper lightweight. This has now opened a kind of massive can of worms, because if the budget micro four thirds camera / lenses are comparing comparatively to the premium APS-C setup that I'm using, and I want the smallest possible setup for my cycling and running and things like that, general travel photography, where I value my film photography and I'm shooting digital on the side to maybe test a shot or to record a sample for YouTube. If film is my main interest and digital is less important to me, there may be an argument for me to buy a super cheap Mark IV thirds camera, pair it with a nice lens, and that'll give me a smaller, lighter, cheaper setup than the Leica CL, which I raved about in the last video. So, interesting times. A massive thanks to David for letting me try the Mark IV thirds camera, and equally, I hate you a little bit because now I potentially might have to buy a Mark IV thirds camera just to test it out for my own experience. I can use the cameras for video as well, and I know it's slightly off topic with this being mostly a Leica channel, but equally if you just want to take nice photos and perhaps you're not able to pay the city high prices of Leica equipment, if I can prove that you can make the same pictures with a budget Mark IV thirds camera and you do really want something pocket size the same as my own interests, maybe I can show you a cheaper option to what I normally use. So yeah, stay tuned, interesting times. If you love small cameras, stay tuned for the next video. There's something for Fuji shooters, Sony shooters, Ricoh GR shooters, Lumix shooters. I think there's something for everybody. So don't miss that video, coming soon. As always, a massive thanks to my Patreon and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Bye.